Hello and welcome
to Dave.
That's Dave and Mickey's Shiny Side Out on Revolution Radio for Revolution.radio, coming to you from Australia, the land down under. That's right, everything here is trying to kill us. Hey. Now, this is home to ideas which are unusual, mostly non-mainline, which is good, and you might even like them. If you do like them, please donate. Any kind of donation is good. This is listener funded radio. Gold, diamonds, silver, cash, crypto. It's all good. Or tell people about the station. That's also good. This show has a number and something 500. So that's goodness. And you can catch us on the air, on the line, and on your smart device. Yes, you can.
698.
So that's what I said.
Yes.
There you go. 698. 890 and 600. See, you gotta get up early in the morning here, otherwise you're gonna switch, bang, bang, like swishing around, just like Jedi training. Grace Tabletop Digital Radio. That's what you want. That's also very good. You missed Solaris' show, maybe, just before us. That's okay. That's all right. I did. But if you did miss it, then go to the archives and listen to it for free. Any archives, in fact, which is another good reason to donate. Before we start broadcasting at you in anger, we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land from which we broadcast. And for Dave,
it's most definitely the Dark Young.
For myself, of course, the Dark people, and we would like to pay our respects to elders past, present, and future. Haven't been on Chinese Isle for a couple of weeks. If you listen to Plato's Cave, you know why. I had COVID, SARS-CoV-2, razor throat. That was not fun. It didn't tickle, but I'm pretty much over it now, I think. I mean, there's still lingering things. I shouldn't be coughing though, so that's all goodness. Having said all of this though, gave me a lot of time to look at stuff, as Dave knows. By the way, feel free to look at our shorts anytime you like. Look at all our shorts and all of our channels on YouTube and elsewhere. Some do well, some do less well. I think on Twitter, I think we're doing pretty well, Dave, right?
And TikTok.
And TikTok, we're doing really well. YouTube, it's so-so. But TikTok really seems to be taking a liking to us, which is great.
YouTube was initially fantastic, and then suddenly we get no representation at all by them.
That was a bit odd.
At the same time that we lost our representation, they also cancelled the amount of money they owed us, which was $98, and they said, "Oh, it's never been claimed." Well, you can't claim it because you won't let it out. You had to reach $100, and that was from like 8 years ago, and it dead set the same moment they did both of those things. It's like, hang on, they're getting popular again. Oh no, we're gonna have to pay them the $100.
We might, which is really gonna break the bank. Let's just assume that's a algorithm, because I think that's exactly what it is. Look, we're gonna post our shorts again. We always post our shows, as you know, but we will post more and more shorts. I put a couple up. I put one up with Dave as well. I have no idea how they've been doing recently. Oh, not awesome, but not too shabby. But yeah, YouTube is a funny old thing. We went from 40,000 to 10,000 views.
A third
from nothing to 40.
A third of the Buddhist monks.
It's a strange kind of thing. But let's not talk about our YouTube woes here. But if you are on YouTube, please do like it. Come and see our shorts. Click on them. Click through. They're usually interesting tidbits of information. So if you can, that'd be really awesome. But watch the entire shows too. That would be even better if you could. The whole show would be great. That would be really, really, really awesome. And maybe you have some topics you want us to cover as well, which is great. If you wanted to do that. all goodness. We got 50 views in the last 48 hours. That's that's not awesome, but it's okay for the short.
We get more of a fell in a hole.
No, but it has been a very something fell in the hole. It's been an eventful week, though, nonetheless, irrespective of our shorts viewing. And Donald Trump ran away to Scotland to escape the Epstein questions, ostensibly. And the reason Scotland, his mother is Scottish, right? That's the connection, in case you're wondering. But
he played some golf.
It's not going away. What a shock. He's played more golf than pretended being president. They did the analysis, which is hilarious. But not, to be serious just for a second, though, there's a lot of stuff going on here. And as we said before, of all the things, Dave, that could have gone sideways or could have gone badly for the administration, it is the Epstein debacle, which is pretty much a crisis of their own making, because they were riding into power and now everybody's denying all kinds of things. They're bringing Ghislaine Maxwell back with a limited pardon. This whole thing is just incredible. And what the most incredible thing, though, and we mentioned this last week, was that now they're going to try to accuse, certainly, but maybe try Barack Obama for treason. Now this is a fairly serious accusation, right? And I've looked at this in some detail. There's no leg to stand on here. There's nothing that would even slightly indicate that this has any truth to it whatsoever. I maintain that the Russians, not the Israelis, they have some, I'm sure, but the Russians have the compromat on Donald Trump. Nothing in Donald Trump's presidency is indicating anything other than that. He has done nothing that is detrimental to the Russians. Nothing at all. Everything he's doing is in favor of the Russians. He's not even giving or selling the military equipment to the Ukrainians directly. He's actually selling it to the Europeans, or European NATO members. And then they can do what they want with it. Give it to Ukraine, sell it to Ukraine, don't do anything, whatever. Right? So to be clear, that's what's happening there. And I find this, the entire thing is just astounding. And in the meantime, Gaza is still happening. Cambodia and Thailand are now in a border dispute with it's actually a war now, if you will. That's actually happening there as well. And of course, the Ukraine war is still ongoing, and many other little fires are flaring up, especially in Africa, or continue to flare up, I should say. So this is all still happening.
I want to make some points, Mick.
I find it astounding
as you go through each one of these,
please,
right?
Go ahead.
So, taking it back to
go.
Ghislaine Maxwell, the Department of Justice had never actually asked her a single question at all, not one. And they spent a whole day with her, and she answered every question, apparently, whatever they were, because we won't get the question list and we won't get the answer list. But that was really interesting for that point to be made. I've got a news story on the screen. This is from our own ABC News, Australian one, and it says Israel military experts predict Gaza war to continue for 10 years. Right? I thought, wow, what a story to run about that. And then the very next story that I found is PM labels Gaza a humanitarian catastrophe and reaffirms aspiration for Palestinian statehood. This is the new stance. Mickey, I know you've been saying it for a long time, and I'm not pouring water over anybody here. And he's got a very stern face in this news story, which is really interesting because it isn't the stance that they've ever taken. Our Australian government has never taken this stance. So we've seen a huge shift, and this shift is crazy. So I think the importance of the first story, which came out 10 hours ago, about the Israeli military experts predict Gaza war could continue for 10 years. It's however much you pound rock, it just becomes smaller and smaller particulates. So 10 years in, it would just be a beach. It would be regolith, Meki, like you find on the moon that's been pounded for millions of years. That's all it would be left. There'd be nothing left. And so to support the anguish that you feel, 10 years, it's okay, now the PM's now taken a hard stand against it. That was only, I think, 4 hours ago or something like that. So it's interesting to see how they initiate the problem. Here's the problem and here's the answer. Look at that. Our government's finally doing something. I don't agree with any government because they all have their own agendas, and limiting competition is something our government has done. I know that during the week, Meki, I asked a question to do with how can you tell how fascist your government has become, because it happened so darn quickly that it's very difficult to discern it. Now, this is taking one of your pages that you've read, and that is to do with the Obama accusation. There's combined with the Obama one is a Hillary Clinton one, where she was emotionally unstable on medication, clinically, whatever the experts said in there. And I think the only person involved in any of those accusations is Hillary Clinton, who's still a possibility to run against the next Republican. So can they just openly accuse the Clintons of anything without repercussions? Well, we know that Obama can't run again, so there you go. Lump them together, a bit of plasticine, the red and blue, it makes grey plasticine. That's kind of what I think that they've done. Is there any way to prosecute? Probably not. I don't think whether or not they have evidence is irrelevant. It's the accusation which can never go away now. This publicly, driven propaganda piece. The way I see it is you can't retract it. You've said it now. Is this a setup to take down the Republican people by being able to place enough stepping stones or chocolates in the forest to attract them to it for their only honeypot, which was pre-planned, and we know the honeypot in IT means the person thinks they've found something tremendous, but it was there all along, and there as only bait in the end for them to be able to find something. Meki, what are your thoughts?
Look, the entire situation is quite complex, right? I mean, and I'll say again what I said before around this whole thing. It's first of all, it's deflection. It's a deflectionary move to point at Obama, to point at Hillary Clinton, right, etc., etc. The Clintons will never be accused of anything. There are too many bodies lining that street. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen.
I realized I'm not on video. I was doing. Hang on, let me just.
But if you look at the situation that you find yourselves in, okay, we have to take a step back here, right? So party politics is dead globally. If you're in a two-party system or even a three-party system, that's dead. Either what you have is a benevolent autocracy or not so benevolent, that works right now. And the countries that fall into the not so benevolent are North Korea and Russia. The more benevolent, and I'm talking about their own populations now, are Singapore, I guess Myanmar, certainly China, and a few others. And then you've got parliamentary democracies, which are functioning more or less because they're multi-party. The Knesset, believe it or not, is one. the Swiss parliament, the German parliament, the French and even Italian parliaments, the Scandinavian parliaments, they're still working okay. Even the British parliament and Canadian parliament is working okay-ish. But the systems that have completely failed are America, Australia, and a couple of others where the two-party system just is a complete schlamazel. It's outmoded. So from that perspective, people are still, playing their own party politics. To your point, is this something the Republicans are being lured into? Are these traps for the Democrats? To be clear, again, there's distraction, and there has to be some kind of, I guess, proof at some point if they do want to charge Obama with something, and if they do want to play the card of Hillary's mental instability, that's okay to prevent her from running in the future, I guess, if that were the case. I don't think she would. She had her chance. She failed. They should have put Bernie Sanders in back then, but that's neither here nor there. And I don't really know, to be honest with you, who a good challenger would be right now. If the American elections were tomorrow, I couldn't tell you, Dave, who a good Democratic candidate would be. But certainly what we're seeing is the Republican Party is starting to eat itself. Okay, that's definitely happening. Where dyed-in-the-wool MAGA supporters, Trump supporters, are now flip-flopping. No, so I shouldn't say flip-flopping. They're now changing course because they feel betrayed. That has been the canon.
That betrayal is evident in their turning their back towards the party, because the party advertised or ran on, I'm going to release all these things. And it's just been a big wet sock.
Let's be clear.
Sorry, the person.
Yeah, Trump. But the person. It was Trump and his administration, his people around him, especially Kash Patel, Dan Bongiorno, even Tulsi Gabbard and the others. They very much, even Pam Bondi to an extent, they very much ran on the platform, we're going to release all the information, etc., etc. And then all of a sudden, you come here and you go, nothing to see. Now, Dave and I have discussed this at length. We've discussed it at length, and what happened here is very simple. Is there something there? The answer is yes. The real material is sitting with the Russians and the Israelis, okay? I'm 1,000% sure that's the case, but there are nonetheless still compromising files, videos, audios, whatever it might be, photos that exist that the FBI might have, the CIA might have, or someone else, but they're damaging to everybody, right? They're damaging for the Democrats, they're damaging for the Republicans, they're damaging for non-party affiliates, they're damaging for billionaires. This is not a parasitic class, right?
It was protecting
any
itself.
Release.
That's exactly my point, Mackie. If the Democrats weren't also implicated in those figures or in those photos or tapes or files or lists, whatever you want, if they weren't, they'd be standing up and calling it out. You failed to release them. Do you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, I want to go a step further. Let's say, for argument's sake, that neither a Democrat nor a Republican is in the files in a damaging position. For argument's sake, right?
It still wouldn't see the light of day. That's exactly right. Because the powerful the people that will prevent it. Exactly. Yes.
They're too. They are too powerful. They are too controlling, and they're the actual power brokers, not in America, but globally.
Globally, yeah, right? yeah.
Because the Epstein thing, there was an article last week, Dave, when I was sick. They uncovered a pedophile ring in Europe, and made 150 arrests. 150. Mm-hmm. Now the story wasn't played big, but there were 150 arrests, right? And the reach of that ring was nowhere near what Epstein was doing, right? And the number of victims wasn't as big. But my point here is, like, if that operation had 150 arrests, and an American, much bigger operation, clearly, that went for much longer, it seems, had 2 arrests, right? Epstein and Maxwell, that was it. No one else. Now, what is clear here, that the super elites, the super parasites, are the ones that will never release it, right?
And they will never allow it to be released. And it's been said, not by us, but by others, that there's so many people on the list that it would destroy that level of society. The whole level of parasitic class, as we've done shows on, they would be decimated by it. Now, you could call it, I suppose, in a way, the worm that turned, because they were all living under the threat of the information being released. Now they seem to be in a position to prevent it from ever being released, or in fact destroyed. Who, until they're gone, if that's even possible, who then would be the next generation to release any of it? And I think they wouldn't even the ancestors of those people, knowing that there was a list with that, wouldn't want their family destroyed by it. Do you know what I'm saying? So we've got to this point, and I think the flagrant advertisement that these were going to be released up until the phase 1 Epstein, document, up until then, I think the pressure wasn't on, but then the pressure was turned up. And that's where we saw a complete change of the government. And all of the players, once they were made contact, probably made contact by those people who didn't want it to ever be released, ever. I can imagine, Meki, for instance, the world economy being destroyed if it were someone like anyone involved in the top layer of BlackRock. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying, imagine with their reach what that would do. Could you imagine with whatever... Because I just picked the largest thing on the planet, right? I can't imagine anything else being more devastating than people in the highest position globally for our economies. What would result if anyone was implicated and that all turned south, right? I would like it all to have its natural resolution, being seen in courts, but because the accusers, unless the tapes exist, unless the accusers are still alive, then there's no one to exercise a complaint against.
If it came to the point that these truths were revealed for some reason, they couldn't keep a lid on it, whatever the case may be, there would be a select few scapegoats, sacrificial lambs, whatever you want to call them.
Oh yeah,
that would be sacrificed on the altar of public opinion, whereas the parasitic power structure itself would continue on its merry way. In a similar way, as to what happened to Prince.
Oh, yeah, Prince Andrew. Yeah.
No, to what happened to Prince Andrew. So Prince Andrew is a hapless fool, clearly implicated in many ways.
Directly,
even his own words in the disastrous interview. So he's clearly implicated, and he was relieved of all royal duties.
That's right.
Now, is the question here, is he the only one that was linked in any way? Are there any other people of nobility or royalty involved? I would be astounded if there weren't. I would be astounded. Like Andrew would say, hey, I got a good buddy in New York, and he can do all these things for us. Hey, you want to come along for the weekend or whatever? I don't know. However they organize their life.
Sure.
I don't know. But I would be astounded if he were the only royal that is in any way at all implicated here. Now, obviously not officially, but certainly, under the table. And this is really going to the heart of the problem. The heart of the problem is that we can no longer let this be. We know Dave says there shouldn't be a revolution. There is no longer any other way to deal with this. The power structures, such as they are, ingrained. The entire economic system that we have built, all of it, geared towards self-perpetuation and trampling on us. And in fact, it might even be too late with the pandemic and the vaccine regime and a whole bunch of other stuff that's happening. I mean, if you're looking at something, after World War II, we said never again. We said never again. No more genocide. Then Rwanda happened. In Serbia and Bosnia happened, and now Gaza is happening. And these are all ethnic cleansing and genocidal actions. They are. I don't care who you are. That's just what's happening. Okay, it's genocide. It's ethnic cleansing, and it is happening because nobody is getting up and saying, "Hey, stop," and actually means it. Nobody in power. Let me rephrase this. Nobody in power stands up and says, "No more, no more. Stop, stop." There's millions of people, maybe even tens of millions of people protesting this every week. All these things that are going on, and not just in Gaza or Ukraine, elsewhere in the world. But they're not powerful. They have no power. They voice their opinion, and that's pretty much it. The people in power, the people that have the power to stop all of this, are not doing so. Why? I mean, really, why aren't they doing something? Why aren't they engaged in more meaningful action? Right? I mean, take out the Israeli leadership. Send in special forces. Right? Stop the war today. Tell Israel, stop. No more. Right? Then go in with special forces and infiltration units, not carpet bombing, into Gaza and get all the Hamas people out. Grab them. Grab the Hamas people. I mean, you're controlling 90% of Gaza already. How are you still fighting a war there? I find this astounding. I mean, Ukraine, Russia, okay, Ukraine is mounting quite a resistance. So I understand why that war is still, as bloody as it is. Gaza makes no sense at all, except, of course, it will be, bulldozed under and turned into some kind of Israeli resort once they're done with the surviving Palestinians living in some camp somewhere. Or, I think it's Rafah City now they're looking at to build out. But they've already killed more than 50,000 Palestinians, right? A lot of kids. They're effectively wiping out a generation there. It's coming, in many ways, and not just from a killing perspective. Education, healthcare, nutrition. So whoever survives is not going to be in an ideal situation to lead a full and fulfilled life. Dave, we are. Is this a call to arms? No, of course not. Everybody has to make up their own mind. But if you are complacent and you think only you matter, your own little life matters, okay, then you will march right into the abattoir, okay? Together with all the other sheep and cows and pigs. You'll march right in and you'll praise the leader while you do so, right? I suggest you read Animal Farm.
But I love the leader,
really do.
Mackie.
We all love the leader, Dave. The leader is beloved. It's not the leader's fault, right? It's all the other people. This is the problem, though. We no longer have the luxury to stand idly by. Action has to be taken. Vote for someone else. Change your political system. Because it is no longer serving the people. It is serving the few. We're back in the Gilded Age, Dave. We're right back in the Gilded Age. Okay?
See, that to me is the
100
biggest...
years of labor wars.
Yeah, that's the biggest surprise to me. Is that we have... Well, I know. I saw your body language. I get it. I think it is, out of anything, it's this shift since COVID, for me, that has shown us more. It was like another veil was lifted, if you want to go there, and it's becoming more and more transparent. I keep referring to the governments as becoming fascist. They're leaving democracy entirely. Our Australian government has now limited the ability for any new parties to be created, for funding limitations to anyone except for the two major parties. It becomes nearly impossible. There's limitations on donations. They don't get as much operational money should they get into power. There isn't. Even their startup doesn't get any money. So if you wanted to create a new party from scratch, you can't. That's awful. I mean, that's not democratic. That's number one. Number two is, with the technology that we have now, calling for bans on what you can say, who can say it, yeah? Because the Parliament is exempt from any of these bans. They're even exempt with parliamentary privilege. They can say whatever they want about anyone without reprisal. So out of all the countries and all the applications in the world who have called out, Mickey, and I have a screen, I've got a thing on the screen here, middle screen. It says TikTok blasts Australia for excluding YouTube in social media ban. That's what it's doing. It's like, well, why would you ban a video sharing platform? Because TikTok is a video sharing platform. And why would you... I mean, you're not talking to people. You're just putting content out there and sharing the content. So from a country, and I'm being polite here because this is actually against Australia. It's kind of pro-China, actually. TikTok are calling out Australia for their ridiculous limitations that they're placing upon social media in Australia. And I agree that it's ridiculous. It shouldn't happen. Even Google now has threatened to sue if YouTube is included, because they've got Australia Kids already. They've got a kids version of YouTube that only filtered material gets onto there. And it's not social media. Yes, you can comment on it, but you can comment on a news article, on a news station's post, on their own website. You can comment. So I'm flabbergasted, Mickey, because this is once again another thing, which is it's shifting our government's operations so much so that what we thought might have been the last remnants of an operational democracy, do you like how I did that? All right, into what I would call a fascist dictatorship. If they've suddenly, out of the blue, like taken 10 years to do it, because technology had to catch up, but to order the control of who can say what, where, and who can use what, where, and you must identify yourself with a government-approved ID system. Therefore, we know who said what. That was their biggest problem to start with a decade ago. We don't even know who it was. They just used an avatar. Who knows who they are? That's why they've banned 4chan or QAnon, for instance. Because you post something truly anonymous, and you're not allowed. You can't get to it unless you've got a VPN, and if you know the IP address, you can type that in. But that's what you can't do. You can't do this. Ordinary people can't do it. Now, we've always been critical of countries that limit its persons, its population, and what it can see, what it can't see, and what it can search for. We've ridiculed them in the past. But hang on a minute. We're here right now. It's appalling what's happened. The internet isn't what it used to be, where anyone can make a website and put anything they like up, and that's fine, right? Good luck. As long as it's legal. But it's not illegal to watch videos online. It's not illegal to post anything. They've made it such that anyone, let's say in England, anyone in the future who may be offended by what you post today is now a jail sentence for you. If they can determine that anyone in the future may. Now, they're so open and vague that could be anything. if you said, I like the colour blue, in the future there might be someone who doesn't like that, who becomes offended because they only like the colour yellow. Maybe someone can't see the colour blue in the future. Maybe blue, their retinas are damaged to a point where they can't see blue, and they become anxious or feel sad about their condition if they happen to read that someone likes blue because they can't see it. Then hey, there's a jail sentence. It's a pre-crime. This is Inception all over again. I mean, can Hollywood stop making films about the future? Can people stop writing a future that's dystopian?
That had a great insight. So, well, the thing is this: the last couple of lines in 984, where I think I'm paraphrasing. Imagine the future of the human race. It's a boot stomping on the face forever.
Okay? Yes.
And ultimately, if we don't choose the Star Trek future, okay, and we keep going in the direction we are with an economic system that is dead, capitalism is dead, okay, completely and utterly dead. And the people that are still surviving are only doing so because of government's, intervention, government support, etc., etc. As soon as government interferes and gives you money, capitalism is dead, because capitalism is it's economic Darwinism, survival of the fittest. If your company can't make it, if your bank can't make it, if whatever you do can't make it, then you're out. That's it. That's not what's happening in the world. There's protectionism on every level. Tariffs is just another protectionism or protectionist method. Certainly what happened between Huawei and Cisco was one. The 2008 banking crisis was a blatant example of what happened. There is no longer any capitalist system that actually works. All our currencies no longer represent any actual value. Used to be that currencies are bound to a gold standard. Could even be something else entirely. Could be an oil standard. Could be anything. Right now, our currencies are not bound to anything intrinsically valuable at all. Nothing. Zero. Not even GDP. So all currencies only have value because the governments say they do, and other governments agree that they do. That's why there was such a panic when they were selling off the U.S. Well, it is. That's why there was such a panic when they were selling off the U.S. Treasury bonds, the Japanese specifically, because that sell-off is an indication of the erosion of trust in the currency. Will the U.S. dollar always be the currency of choice? No.
No.
Certainly not since the petrodollar has come to an end, and now the petroleum or oil can be traded in any currency really, so that's fine. But we have to evolve to another economic system. We really do, right? It is no longer sensible to sell your time. And why do I say this? 50 years ago, a CEO's salary was maybe 10 times, maybe 50 times more than the average worker.
That's right.
Something like that. Now it's 500, 1,000, 10,000 times higher, depending on which company you work for. And so the imbalance of time sold has become so stark that it no longer reflects anything in reality. In fact, our economy is being hurt by this constant striving for profit. Why? Because as companies are striving for profit maximization, meaning making as much money as possible with as little cost as possible, what they do is they get rid of workers, right? They automate things. They make things cheaper. They go to places where they can make things cheaply, which is clearly something that Trump doesn't like, and I don't like either. So we agree completely. But it's a reality. Now, at some point in the future, we will get to companies or a large number of companies that will have very few employees. Okay, and a lot of the things they do will be completely automated. Be it in software or hardware, it doesn't really matter, but completely automated with no person or persons being involved in the process other than a supervisory capacity, maybe some maintenance. Okay. At that point, right? When the vast majority of the people are unemployed and maybe getting only government stipends or something, or maybe not, right? The economic system that we are under right now will completely collapse because there won't be anybody left to purchase any of the stuff that companies provide.
That's
services,
right.
Goods, it doesn't matter, right? If you take money out of the middle class especially, and make no mistake, this whole system is only a couple 100 years old, with the workers' rights less than 100 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Capitalism is about 100, 150 years old. It started with the industrialization in the late 18th century, right? The James Watt steam engine, cotton gin, etc., etc., and it brought about a change. Now, the next economy we're moving into with AI, and I'm talking about real AI now, not just really advanced automation, will make it impossible for people to hold down a job. Because why as a company owner, why would I pay anyone if I could just get some core machine to do the job, right?
What do you
no
want?
No sick days, no holidays.
They can also work around the clock.
Right? Around the clock, and this is the problem here. The capitalist system, in its form, or in the form that we're pursuing, is a self-dooming engine. It strives for ever greater profits in a finite system.
Mm-hmm. I knew you were going there.
To the detriment of the rest of society. We have forgotten why we came together as people. I know I keep saying this. Social services, healthcare, aged care, education, transportation, education, even basic nourishment and housing. These are some of the reasons why we came together as people and formed societies. And there was an understanding that the government, the people that we elect into a government, even if it's a king or a queen or whatever, they have a certain responsibility toward their subjects, toward the citizens, right? Noblesse oblige. Nobility obliges. You have to do these things because you are in a privileged position. That was the understood social contract, even in times of kings and queens. That is completely going away. Corporations have no social contract with anyone. None. Zero. The only contract they have is with themselves to make as much money as possible. But again, within that singular motivation is the doom of our civilization. 1,000 years from now, maybe 5,000 years from now, when archaeologists are starting to dig up our stuff, they had all these amazing technologies and they could feed everybody on the planet, and everybody could have been healthy, and we just don't understand why they vanished, why this civilization was completely destroyed. Because we were driven by the profit motive. Instead of giving food to people that are hungry, we are burning it because it would depress the price on the world market.
That's right.
If I can't sell it, yeah. If I can't sell it, if I have to give it away, it loses value. Okay.
That's right.
No, thank you very much. I'm going to destroy it. It is. If you really take a step back and look at how many people are starving and how people are living in poverty, don't have clean water and all these things, you take a step back and then you look at the motivations of companies and how they operate. And make no mistake, these are people that are operating these things. This is not some kind of abstract construct. This is people that make decisions on these things. Because people always ask, Dave, why did the Germans just go along? I mean, in order for all this Holocaust to happen for 6 million Jews and millions of gypsies and communists and homosexuals to be killed, it didn't just take one person to say, let's make it so. It's never enough. Even if you had 100,000 people saying, let's do it, you can't. You have to organize it. There had to be people that wrote the timetables. There had to be people that made sure that the concentration camps were stocked and built properly and supplied with whatever materials they needed.
Holes were dug, there was an gas was supplied, buildings were constructed.
There was an entire...
Trains operated.
There was an entire infrastructure ecosystem.
Right.
The entire ecosystem infrastructure had to be there. And the reason it worked is because everybody did their little bit. Everybody because they never thought of themselves as genocidal maniacs. They know I'm a train operator, or I'm a gas supply manager, or whatever the job is. Like, or I'm a train timetable writer. That's my job. And these little by little things would lead to a dehumanization, because you're part of a big machine now. And once the machine runs, and the moving parts, make no mistakes, are people inside the machine, then the machine will roll all over you. Like, the people within the machine, the individuals, might think it's appalling, but they're not stopping the machine. They're part of it, right? Werner von Braun used slave labor in his rocket building for the Germans. Slave labor meaning, concentration camp inmates, prisoners of war, etc., etc. And thousands were killed in the work. Thousands, because it was highly dangerous work. And that was, but that was seen as, oh well, they would die anyway, right? So might as well make them useful. But there would be some kind of rationalization put forward. And that's exactly where we are here today. Look at your job. Look at what you do for a living.
That's
right. Okay. What do you do that enables the machine? I know I'm in the machine. I know I am, right? And I can't wait to get out of the machine. But my point here is this. We are all complicit in this. Even if you're sitting at home and you're the most peaceful person, you love your family, you love your dog, you help your neighbor, you go to church every Sunday, you're still complicit in the starvation and death and killing, I should say, of millions, if not tens of millions of people every year. The Gaza conflict is your fault. It's my fault. We elected a government that supports it. We didn't tell our members of parliament strongly enough to get out of there and to make Israel stop. For example, I'm just giving you an example. Or Ukraine, or pick any other conflict you like. None of us care enough, because the machine keeps us comfortable until it doesn't. And when it doesn't, it'll be too late. Just to be very clear, this system cannot survive. It cannot survive. It will eat itself. Okay? There'll be a war, a catastrophe, another pandemic. There'll be a massive event that will make the system collapse, right? Or over the next 2 or 3 generations, we'll have managed decline, where our birth rates are going down significantly, where there's only maybe 1 billion or 500 million left of us in 2 or 3 generations. That's another way, which I think is also a catastrophe, but nonetheless, there we are. Whereas the parasites, they'll be fine. And you don't know who they are. You don't know who these people are. You think you do. If you see them, if you know their names, they are not the parasites in charge.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you that. But look, Dave, it sounds dreadful, but action has to be taken here. Right? Some action, organized locally. If you want to work within the system, then work within the system. And Dave and I, we do this 3 times a week. We don't get paid for this. We do a lot of research. We follow the news scrupulously. We do it in time zones that are not necessarily conducive to us, but this is our platform. And we're shouting from the hill. We're not rich enough to directly affect anything. I can't run for office in Australia because I wasn't born here. And I'm holding a second passport, right? So I can't. It's not possible for me. Would I? If I could, I would. But there need to be more people. So that's why we are shouting from the mountains. So more and more people maybe become more aware of what's going on. Maybe because right now, I'm astounded. Still, people don't understand how tariffs work. We've been in this tariff world now for 6 months, Dave, and still people don't understand how tariffs work. I find this hilarious, right? But simple things, right? But because politicians are lying to you all the time. The parasites are lying to you. Mainstream media, for the most part, is lying to you. Everybody is lying to you. Why? To keep you ignorant. Okay? To keep you doing whatever it is that you're doing. Send your kids to school. Make sure they become nice little, moving parts in the machine. Thank you very much. That's all we need from you. And now then off you go and die when you're 60 or 70 or whatever. Off you go. You've fulfilled your quota. That's where we are. I don't know, Dave. It sounds hopeless, right?
Yeah, it does. And you know what? Part of this is the messaging that we get. The messaging of how to live our lives, the advertising, all the products we use, what is said and what isn't said about those products. So, number one, air fryers. Air fryers create over 180 degrees. Starch turns into acrylamide, and starch is found on raw chicken, and it's found on potatoes. So if you're cooking potatoes in your air fryer over, say, 180, I try to tell my family, don't go over 180 when you're cooking potatoes or chicken in your air fryer, because it creates a chemical called acrylamide, and it's cancerous. It's really bad. Really bad. I mean, thousands of times higher in carcinogen than almost anything else. And we thought, and I did a show on PFAS, and they got a little short on that one. Have a look for this. But there's a new thing, Mackie, that I only just watched the video this morning on, and it's portobello mushrooms. And it's potential carcinogenic compounds. And here's the thing that's on the screen. Portobello mushrooms contain a compound called agaritine, which has raised concerns about its potential carcinogenic effects. Some studies suggest that chemical may increase cancer risk. Well, there was a guy on Joe Rogan who said, when questioned, that he would not ever speak publicly about what he knew about the portobello mushrooms. And that just caused everyone to go and find what it is. You can reduce those levels by cooking them properly, because, however, cooking portobello mushrooms significantly reduces the level of this compound, making them safer to eat. The other thing that I'd like to mention also about the air fryers aren't dangerous. Not at all. If you want to cook potatoes, soak them in water. Get rid of that starch, and then it doesn't create nearly as much. It's like a 1,000th of the amount of acrylamide that it creates. So PFAS, paper straws, worse than plastic straws. The best straws you can use are stainless steel straws. They have no PFAS. Every other straw, doesn't matter what it is, made of bamboo, I don't care. Even silicon, don't. They all have PFAS. PFAS is carcinogenic. So even the pizza box itself has PFAS, believe it or not. I don't know, what a pizza. No, just make pizza at home. So all the things that we've been taught, Mackie, is it's a depopulation decline effect. If we all do the things that we're told to do, and which they ignore the dangers of, is a slow reduction in population. Population is no longer growing. Worldometer has a sharp hook in decline now. So, to me, UBI, Universal Basic Income, where it's not, all the countries are separated from each other. There's no more international trade between currencies, and the currency is a flat currency across the planet, and the governments just type in money. It's not money, they're credits. It's no longer a financial system, it's just credits of an amount of money for you to spend, and that spending without being able to save it to buy anything or escape this poverty is the only way to keep people where they're going to be. And digitally separating us from everyone, and you can't talk to each other, is the way it's going to be. In this dystopian view, which I believe we are inevitably going to hit, and I can see the music's just about to start. Pardon me. And we are going to be coming back in the second hour. This is the end of Shiny Side Out's first hour. We have 2 hours. The second hour is going to be E.T.'s Rational and Logical Approach, Part 3. You'll find 2 prior parts. But do like, share, subscribe, and comment to all our videos so you can keep us going with the algorithm, and you can maintain your normal level of information.